10:30, no other option. Video editing software crapped out on me. If you want the original clips with the visual aids, send me an email. I'm going to start at the 10-second mark. Hello, my name is Jonathan Phillips. Today we will be elaborating on a clip from the TV show Community, which shows that you don't necessarily need to argue to win an argument. The show, while being a comedy, gives us a surprisingly intriguing subject and an example to boot. For the purposes of our discussion today, we will be focusing on the quote, "Anyone who tries to argue has already lost because they pick the argument to lose." Let's start with the circle example. During a trial, the prosecution will draw a metaphorical circle around the truth, and then they will say that anything outside that circle is a lie. Now, it is the defense's job to poke holes in the prosecution's bubble of truth to create reasonable doubt. Under U.S. law, a defendant is always considered innocent until proven guilty. What that means is if the judge or jury is in doubt about whether the defendant committed the crime, then they cannot be convicted. Even outside a courtroom in everyday use, creating doubt is a valuable skill and a powerful tool. Now that we have established what we are doing and why, as well as a professional setting that it's used in, I'd like to show you how. The primary way to let your opponent lose by arguing with themselves is to pose questions with a what if, what about, is it possible, is there a chance, or a perhaps. Now there are many other ways you can do this. These are just a few examples. Eventually the person is going to run out of responses to your questions. You will then force the person you are arguing against to admit the uncertainness of the information they possess, and if that information may be inaccurate or false entirely. Remember, your job isn't to prove anything or to argue anything. It is to create doubt that what someone says is true is not true. By poking holes in that person's version of the truth and creating doubt, you devalue what their version of the truth is until it becomes completely and utterly worthless. Much like a boat with holes in it. You drill a few holes, yeah, water's gonna sink in and you can bucket it out, no big deal. You create enough holes, that boat's gonna sink, and so is that person's argument. By doing this, people are less likely to believe the person who is telling the truth, and they're more likely to believe the person poking holes in the truth. Because if the person telling the truth can't come up with an answer for everything, then it must not be the truth. Humans are fallible that way, and it's an interesting concept to think about in human psychology. Now, I'd like to thank you very much for your time today. I hope you've learned something. Please check out the clip from Community. It is a fascinating subject. And if you want to learn more about how to argue, there are other great clips on YouTube and many great lawyers that make videos on YouTube on how to do this. Thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful evening.